Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Socratic Cinema podcast. My name is James Delisio.
I'm Charlie Heatherly.
I'm Kasey Clark.
And I'm Haleigh Phillips.
And we're coming at you live from a virtual COVID-19 special edition remote recording episode of the Socratic Cinema podcast. Yeah. I thought we ought to take a minute here at the beginning of the episode just to kind of fill you guys in on what's been going on with the show amidst all this quarantining and coronavirusing. It's definitely disrupted the show a little bit. We've only been able to kind of maintain our mode of production up until now is because we had a lot of episodes ready to go, kind of in a backlog, thankfully, from our monster marathon session back in December. But we ran out, and so now we had to resort to the internet to record our episodes. So I guess we all apologize if there's any weirdness. The internet's a finicky thing. Yeah, we'll do our best to make sure it's as smooth as possible for you, but I guess we just kind of ask for a little bit of understanding as we kind of try and figure this whole thing out. But we'll be back to the normal way of doing this as soon as we can. We were actually, right before this whole quarantine thing started, we were looking into moving into an actual recording studio and using cameras and stuff to bring you guys our lovely faces. But that was going to be really exciting. But unfortunately, that option kind of was closed off to us for a while because of all this. But once all this is done, we'll be back in full force. But until then, we're going to try and deliver as high of a quality content as we can. But I thought it might be fun to sort of have all of us here go around and tell the viewers what we've been watching during this quarantine, because we've had so much time on our hands. What we've been watching. What's our recommendation? Why don't you start us off, Charlie?
Well, I've been watching and playing as well some interesting things, to be sure. Interesting things. Doom Eternal is super fun. And if you have a device that can run it, I very much recommend that you buy it and run it because it is so much fun. It is fast-paced, gory, action-packed, and if you have a conservative parent, they will hate it, but just go behind their back and play it anyway because it is a boatload of fun. But for watching, definitely I would say Tiger King, which James hates. It's a fantastic show. It really is. It's so crazy, but you think in every episode that it can't possibly get more crazier than the last. And then it does. And then by the final episode, you're just like sitting in your chair, just slack-jawed at what's happening because it's all insane.
How many episodes is it? Because I want to, if I do bite the bullet and watch it, I want to know what I'm getting into.
6, 7? I forgot the exact one.
Are they like 40-minute episodes?
Yeah, 40 minutes to an hour. So many classic characters have been born from the show. Carol Baskin, Joe Exotic, who had 3 husbands, 2 of which were not gay. Doc Antle and his hot son. Just several amazing people have come into the limelight, and it's good to see such wacky characters get recognition finally. But that's what I've been watching over the quarantine.
It's all a true story, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wild. And Joe Exotic's not in jail?
He is currently.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he's serving he's serving serious time on animal abuse charges right now.
Dang, there we go. Okay, maybe some of my issues with the show just went a little bit. I thought he was scot-free, and they made a show about him. Okay, that's cool. I might have to give it a try now. Kasey, what have you been up to?
Well, I've kind of been all over the place with what I've been watching. I've been watching Making the Cut on Amazon Prime. It's like a knockoff Project Runway with people from Project Runway, so that's really fun.
What's the difference?
Actually, it's kind of insane because I believe it's like 15 or 14 designers, and they have challenges, and it's per week, and they have like a whole accumulating like fashion show at the end of each week, and the celebrity judges, whatever, like Naomi Campbell's on it. She's my favorite. She's kind of mean though, which is sad, but
Oh,
um
fortunate.
but the gag is that they can cut however many people they want to, so it can go from, like, 14 people to 5 people in, like, an episode, and it's
Oh,
just
jeez.
really crazy and super stressful, and everyone's just a hot mess and crying, but it's, like, really cool if you like fashions. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I finally I watched Jojo Rabbit.
Yay.
Good.
Ooh.
Yes, I did cry. Um,
Mm.
I finally watched Call Me by Your Name,
Oh my gosh.
finally.
I've been
Oh.
hearing so much about that.
Yeah, is it
It's
good?
really good. I mean, like, there's, like, some it's a beautiful movie, but, like, base level, there's some, like, weird stuff with how it may or may not be, like, idolizing pedophilia, but
Yeah, that
anyway.
seemed a little weird. That aspect of it seemed a little weird to me. I know a little bit
Yeah.
about it. Very strange.
Yeah, and other than that, beautiful score, beautiful movie. It is really, really long. It's like 2.5 hours of
Whoa.
I mean,
yeah, it
we made it through The Irishman.
that's
That's
true.
true.
That's facts. It
Just
is no Irishman. Um, I've been watching some anime. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, good for me. There's one on Netflix. It's called A Silent Voice. Made me sob. It's so beautiful. It's about a deaf girl and her bully who he bullied her throughout grade school and then she switched schools and he's just like super balled up, depressed, anxiety, and he ends up like reconnecting with her. And they go through all these wacky they're not wacky. It's actually really emotional but, all these adventures, and it's just really it's a really sweet and touching movie. Um, on a lighter note, I've been watching Haiku as well. Love Haiku.
Hmm.
Mm.
Volleyball animes for the win. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much all I've been watching.
All right. Uh, Hallie, what about you?
yeah, I've just been watching a lot of movies that I should have watched beforehand. Catching up on some films. So I watched American in Paris, which I loved so much,
Mm-hmm.
and Gene Kelly is brilliant in that. And then I also recently watched Ad Astra, which I'm surprised I ever saw in the theaters either, and that I didn't get nominated for more on the Oscars, honestly. I mean,
Really, I heard that one was kind
Mhm.
of like disappointing to some people.
a lot of people think it's a slow burn and that it just draws out too long, but I thought it built up a great, sense of tension. Like it
Mm.
was very, 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 cool.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
recommend it.
I love space movies, so I'll be on the lookout for that one, I guess.
Yeah, and it,
Uh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead. Anything else, Hallie?
That's about it. I mean, of course, Tiger King.
Right.
But yeah, that's just been it. Watching movies.
For sure. I guess that's my turn. Let's see. As far as movies go, I haven't been watching a ton. I watched probably the favorite thing that I've watched was the Coen brothers True Grit. I think it's like 2010 or something. Um
Mhm.
I already knew that I liked westerns, but this just kind of cemented it. I absolutely loved their rendition of True Grit. Brothers, I mean, this is what they do best, right? Sort of like No Country for Old Men, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, all those. Oh, Ballad of Buster Scruggs was really good. I recommend that one too.
Isn't it awesome?
I
Isn't it
love it.
great?
I like anthologies. Um,
They're
yeah,
interesting.
but True Grit, I really recommend True Grit. Just a solid cowboy tale. Just knocked it out of the park for me. The dialogue in that movie was incredible. So witty, so fast. Very enjoyable. I also watched, well, let's see. In the realm of TV, I've been watching Breaking Bad, trying so hard to finish it. Uh,
Yes.
it's just so heavy, man. I just want them to start making good choices. You feel like
Yeah.
Jesse deserves the world. I'm on season 4, and just things are not looking good for him right now.
Oh, yep.
But but um, I've also been watching a lot of Lego Masters on Hulu.
Yeah.
It's like a game show where the contestants, it's like all Lego based challenges, but it's really fun to watch. I don't know. I was really into Legos as a kid, and I'm kind of starting to like, I feel the calling in me again to like creep back towards it. But this show is just a lot of fun to watch. Will Arnett's a great host. He was the voice of Batman in Lego Batman, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Believe. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's great. But yeah, that's on Hulu. True Grit's on Amazon Prime. But all of us here, it's about time we get into this. All of us on Socratic Cinema have been watching Pixar's latest film, Onward. Ooh, yeah.
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 That's our subject of conversation for today. Let's just do the usual routine here. Charlie, what were your general impressions of Pixar's Onward?
Pixar's Onward, I think, is probably the most surprising Pixar film that I've seen. And I don't mean that in the sense that it was the best or had the best twist, although I think it's a very good movie, but just I thought it was going to be god awful. Like when I first saw the trailers, I thought it was going to be repetitive, and I thought that the general premise of it, where they live in a modern fairy tale world, was like straight out of a third grade essay prompt or something. But from the
Yeah.
second you go into the movie, all of your fears subside, and really it just grows into this beautiful story about what family truly means, and how to have an adventure in perhaps a way that many don't think you still can. But I think it was a little bit repetitive in terms of the Pixar formula. Again, you have a parent dead. Again, we're redefining what family means away from a traditional nuclear family unit. But
Yeah.
it's always a great story, and I think that if you just judge this on the context of it just being a movie instead of it being a movie within the Pixar catalog, it's fantastic, and I have no real problems with it. I think it's great.
Right. Casey?
Yeah, I would agree. I had the same kind of worries that Charlie had, that this was just going to be very corny, very very like the second Shrek movie, where it's just like all this like
Mhm.
Mhm.
modernized, but it's like, hey, that's a McDonald's, but it's like in a cabin. And I felt like it was going to give me very that, and I was already a little put off because I usually get put off by movies with the classic Pixar, oh, there's a dead parent and we're gonna explain all that like trauma that goes along with having a dead parent away by the end of the movie. And that's just not something that I really like or enjoy watching because it's usually very like oversimplified, but I felt like this movie really handled it well, where they acknowledged that that trauma was still there, but that you could really like grow into like knowing who you are as a person, and knowing that that loss doesn't really like, define you. It's what you do with it that does.
Mhm.
Mm,
Sure.
Very good.
dang, that was powerful. Hallie?
Yes, always last. Best for last. I actually really like this movie. I when I first saw the trailer, I seriously thought it was a DreamWorks movie, and I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go." But then I was surprised to figure out that it was Pixar, and I was like, "What?" Like they're really, really doing something new, but something like old in the same way. And so going into it, I really had low expectations. The whole premise of like, "Oh, the dad's cut in half." Like, "Ooh, this is gonna be cool." Like it didn't really like seem interesting to me. But like Charlie said, as soon as the movie started, like all your worries kind of like left the door. I actually like cried at like the climax. I was very close. It was so emotional. But one thing I've noticed, I was scrolling through like video essays today just to see like what people have uploaded, and a lot of them are questioning if this movie is really even Pixar, like if
Hmm?
it's really like defined as like Pixar movie. Like
What
that
is,
was a lot of
Oh.
questions. It's like,
but what
what are your
is that?
guys' thoughts?
I mean, was it made by Pixar?
Yeah, it's a Pixar movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's a Pixar movie.
no, but
Well,
like
I think what they mean is like, is it a Pixar movie in the sense that it fits into this giant expanded universe that they have, and
Oh,
also
the Pixar theory thing?
is it also a Pixar movie in the sense that it shares the same core ideology as the other Pixar movies? Am I interpreting that correctly, Hallie?
yes,
I
yes.
Okay.
think I'd say it does. I think
Yeah.
I sort of feel what you mean about the Pixar theory, and I think this one is I think Onward does a good job of it's starting to steer us away a little bit from traditional Pixar, and I want to dive into that a little bit. Um, but my general impressions, yeah, like all of you guys, I was overwhelmed by the trailers I saw for it, Onward. Underwhelmed by the
Yeah.
sorry about that. Underwhelmed by the trailers I saw for Onward. I didn't think it looked super original. The premise didn't seem like, Pixar's done crazier, more unique premises. I felt like modern fantasy just was like, but I thought it was going to be another good dinosaur kind of thing. But
Yeah, same.
I don't know if this is I don't know if any of you guys experienced this, but I think the fact that it's almost a little meta. So we all know that Onward released in theaters, but it had a pretty poor box office reception because of the whole coronavirus thing, and no one could
Oh
go to the movie
yeah.
theaters. So that's why they put it on Disney Plus so soon. I think a big reason that I was like redrawn to Onwards is because of the unique circumstances of it being released. Like the fact
Totally.
Oh
that it was
yeah.
like, whoa, this movie pretty much got canceled because of coronavirus, and now we're seeing it a lot sooner than we'd normally be able to. Like something about that was like it made me want to watch it. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I'm taking part in history by watching this.
I definitely think that movie companies right now are missing a huge opportunity to release big budget films on streaming services. Like if I saw Fast and Furious 8 release on Netflix, I'm watching it. Like, are you kidding me? The streaming
Yeah.
numbers on that would be insane.
But you got to realize, I feel like it's probably less base profit for the theaters, and that's kind of what they care about right now, right? Like I feel like you're gonna
Their
make more out
profit
of movie,
or the
Yeah.
company profit.
the company profit, the movie.
Companies don't care about the movie theaters. You kidding me?
No, I mean the company that made the movie, right? Would they not make more directly from like a movie theater box office release? Then I feel like streaming's more indirect.
Depends.
Yeah,
Depends on
It
the
I
depends
agree.
on the deal
monetization
that they
schemes.
make.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
too.
true. I guess I'm
Often movie
not sure the
theaters
ins
do
and
get
outs.
screwed over. I think they only take about, I don't know, I'll pull a number out of thin air, 20% of the ticket revenue, which is really not a whole lot. That's why concessions are always the thing that you get pushed because that's how they make.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking like Pixar would rather release this movie in a theater because they would make more money, right? So I don't know if it's that big. Is that big of a market, the streaming industry?
Possibly. I mean, if Disney, so Disney owns Pixar, and what they're doing right now by releasing it on Disney Plus is they're number one, they're testing if streaming is a good place to release new movies, and if they want to go forward with exclusive content that's longer format than like a TV show episode every week.
Right.
And then number two, they're trying to hedge their bets because there's no way that you don't release Onward very quickly
Yeah.
onto streaming when no one can see it. And the fact that you put so much money into a big budget Pixar film and you're going to lose all that money if you don't put it on streaming very quickly, it might start to convince Disney, or at least show them that streaming is just as good of a place to make money as a physical theater, and that might drastically change the film landscape if that's what's happening. But I'm not sure if it is.
I mean, I think we're already kind of in the middle of a transition into I guess, the streaming era of the movie industry. Like, look at Netflix. They went from a like Redbox kind of service to an on-demand thing, and now Netflix is like a production company that's consistently putting out Oscar-nominated movies, like The Irishman, Marriage Story, Roma. Like, I think
Sure.
we're starting to enter the era where we're gonna see more and more critically acclaimed, like big budget movies making their debut on streaming platforms.
Oh, I
Right?
completely agree. The movies you did mention, though, Roma uh, and Marriage Story, aren't huge budget movies. Like those are fairly. You can make those without the money that's required for big special effects things.
Yeah, big budget might have been the wrong word. I just meant like critically acclaimed movies,
Yeah,
big
Right.
movies,
for
not
sure. I
big
agree
I
budget.
with you
still
that things
think
like Irishman and Bright were major big budget movies that they put on there. But you're right. We'll see bigger budget movies come in, and I hope Onward proved that to them. But go
Yeah,
ahead,
sorry,
Haleigh.
Haleigh. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I still think the sentiment to going out to a movie is still gonna exist because my mother also had like the same idea, like, what if movie theaters just don't exist anymore? And I was like, I still think people still want to go out and experience it and, sit in a movie
Mhm.
theater, get out of the house.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll go
yeah,
solely to streaming or that like big budget movies like Star Wars and franchises will just go onto
No way.
streaming. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
I mean, we'll see how this whole corona thing's going to affect movies, because now we might have to integrate a little politics in. I mean, not like, American politics specifically, but like, how is corona going to treat movie theaters? Will they even have enough money to go after this whole thing's over? Because
Yeah, to reopen.
we don't have a set
Mhm.
date yet. Like, at the time of recording this, at least for the area that we're in, the quarantine is until the middle of May. So that's another full-on month for theaters to not have any customers, essentially.
Yeah, just try to
Right.
stay up.
So hopefully we get to see very creative solutions to business problems. My dad's been showing me consistently some really, really funny ones that are happening. Two that spring to mind immediately is, did anyone see SNL?
Yes.
Isn't it good?
That was I was very interested
Yes,
in that. Yeah, I wonder.
like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did like a independently like Zoom called version of Saturday Night Live.
Really?
Oh, huh.
it was better
Yeah.
than the actual show.
Wow. Good for them.
Yeah, but Haleigh, what'd you think of all the sketches? Do you think that Saturday Night Live has found like its new right after Trump got elected thing? Like, are they back in a groove, you think?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the jokes they made, I felt like, like, oh, you can only make that joke once. Like, they couldn't go next week and make, a Zoom call skit, or they couldn't go back next week and do like another coronavirus skit. So I think the new format was cool. It gave the actors, I feel like, a lot more independence to write their own skits and do their own thing and experiment, which is interesting to see more of like their interpretations of making a skit. But yeah, I'm just curious of what next weekend's gonna look like and how they're gonna keep moving, the stories along and keep producing things. Because then again, they're all filming in their homes. So like, what's the most that you can do inside your home? Story like wise, skit wise. So I'm interested. I really liked it though. I thought it was entertaining, because I'm like, there's so much going on, like Tiger King, politics, all like big old chunks for SNL to like put their hands in and dig stuff out. But yeah, I don't know.
that's
I like
true.
that they're trying, to still keep things going and do comedy.
So,
I appreciate a whole bunch. And then very quickly, I just want to say the other fantastic new business solution that's happening. I saw this on the morning news one day, but I think this is in Atlanta or something. But there's a strip club recently that shut down because obviously you can't do that during coronavirus. But to keep its employees employed, they're doing an Uber service
oh
with
gosh.
with the strip.
Charlie.
Hey, this is a PG podcast.
It's
Yeah,
the
this is
funniest
by the way.
thing ever.
I just think we
I thought this was gonna go into OnlyFans type
this is
situation.
hold
I was
on,
like,
hold
oh,
on. This
no.
is a PG
Oh my
show.
God.
Let's rein it back
I'm
in.
trying to talk about American ingenuity here, James.
Reel it back in here, man. We're
Oh
a
my
family show.
gosh.
We're talking
This was
about
on the
a
morning
Pixar
news. I don't know what you
movie.
want. I don't
All right,
know what you want. from
let's
me.
move back into Onward here a little bit.
Onward.
I'm getting
Onward, yes.
ostracized for saying something that was on the news. I can't.
Yeah,
believe
a little
this.
bit. So
Yeah.
let's get into the analysis, guys. We haven't done some good hard analysis in a while. And I want to talk to you guys about a movie screenplay writing technique that I thought Onward did really great. This is our
Ooh.
nugget of knowledge for the audience for the day.
Ooh.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
You guys remember when we were like an academic show and we talked about like color theory and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
La
And
La
then
Land.
then
Wow.
we became stupid. I'm gonna bring us back.
We got more. We're stupid.
And we got more dumb. All right. I think this movie, let me tell you guys about Chekhov's gun. We all know what Chekhov's gun is, right?
Yes.
Screenplay lesson for the audience at home. Chekhov's gun is a film writing technique where you are supposed to, anything you introduce to your audience, you are supposed to bring back in a meaningful way. And it comes from the example of the gun is it's used in the context of a book, but it's the same in a movie. And it's that if you have a gun hanging on your wall in the first chapter, someone better get shot by the third chapter is
Oh,
I think
period.
is the gist of it. Right, yeah. But I think this movie, like just about every single little thing that they threw into this movie came back somehow in the end. Like
Mhm.
Yeah,
like the dragon mascot on the high school that
Yeah.
that
the
was
kids go to.
hilarious.
Yeah, and then it
Mhm.
comes back and it becomes the face of the dragon that they're fighting at the end of the movie. Or like the
What? Mhm.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I felt like that was like a foreshadow too, like a cool way to foreshadow, because they kept like going to a shot of the dragon on the side of the school, and like
Right,
me as
yeah.
a writer was like, oh, there's gonna be a dragon, like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
like
and that's
importance to
exactly
it.
the spirit of Chekhov's gun, totally, yeah. Or like the fairies? Do you get like with the whole wings thing, and then they came back later, and the mom to the Manticore was like, "Oh, why don't we just fly there?" Like
Mhm.
there were
Mhm.
so many, sort of like also in Frozen 2, you know the whole water has memory thing that
Oh,
they tried so
yes.
hard to shoehorn back in?
Oh yeah.
I felt like there were a lot of lines like that in this movie, but they worked. Like lines that they brought back later in the movie, but it actually held some weight because they didn't try and slam it in your face so much this time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
hmm
I feel like Onward's a lot smarter of a movie than, so they say, Frozen 2 was, you know. No hate to Frozen 2.
I can't speak to how good Frozen 2 was because I still haven't seen it yet.
It's
Oh,
Uh,
man.
on Disney
It's
Plus.
alright.
I
Yeah.
excuse me, this was an Onward episode, not a Frozen 2
Oh,
episode.
Oh,
So I'm
sorry.
just
okay,
saying.
okay,
My
okay.
bad.
No, but Into the Unknown banger song, not my point. My
Period.
point
Yep.
is, I think that Onward, as you said, James, incredibly smart writing, and I think that one of their biggest strengths was handling both Tom Holland and Chris Pratt really well. Because the thing is with those actors, you have to ride the line between them being goofy and them being serious very finely. Because Chris
Yeah.
Pratt can go like as goofy as you need him to go, right? And that
Mhm.
was something from the trailers I thought was going to happen. I thought he was just going to be like blah, 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 the entire time.
Yeah.
And I love Chris Pratt, and I was really hoping that didn't happen, and it didn't. They made every single character feel like they had a complex sort of way that they dealt with the central plot point, that being the father is half a father.
Yeah.
And everyone seemed to have a relationship with him that defined who they were in some case. And the way that they changed that with the twist at the end, it wasn't only a plot-based twist, it was a thematic twist. Because now instead of the father being the one that imprints his own personality on everyone, you get to see that no, that there doesn't have to be a father figure to do that. There will always be someone that you can look up to and have that happen to you.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Barley Lightfoot, right? That's Chris Pratt's character.
Yeah.
I think he was honestly, I think he might have been one of the most interesting characters to me in this movie, just because you were saying, like,
Mhm.
he's such a complete subversion of expectations. He's so multi-dimensional. Like, you don't always have a goofy comic relief character who's as self-aware as he is, and not self-aware in the cheeky fourth wall break way, but self-aware in like the no one takes me seriously kind of way. And it was such a powerful like dynamic that they played with him. But what I think was really interesting, and I'm surprised they didn't go for this aspect with Barley, was I really honestly, so Barley Lightfoot is a character who he's super into like D&D and that sort of thing, and very into magic. And so when his little brother Ian, Tom Holland, has magic powers, I really thought they were going to play the angle where Barley is like jealous of Ian's powers and stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, me too.
But
Mm.
they didn't go that way at all. It just shows that, like, wow, he's just a really caring, like, good-natured person, you know? He's
Mhm.
just he's not jealous, or he doesn't try to, like, usurp it. He's just generally happy for his little brother and wants to share his passion and help him learn. And it was such a, I don't know if I don't think one way would have been better than the other, but I just think it would have been a very easy route to make the sort of the emotional tension be like, oh, Barley's jealous that it's not him. Like, he's supposed to be the older brother, but they completely, they didn't take the low hanging fruit, you know? And I appreciate
Right.
that.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, I honestly think the movie would have been way worse if they had Barley take the low hanging fruit there. The plot choices that they made throughout the entirety of the movie kept it so fresh, and I think that's one of the reasons why my expectations were subverted when it came to just if the movie was going to be good or not. Because I came in thinking, oh, they're going to make some dumb thing about the state of society using the fairy tale thing, and they're going to focus way too much on the world instead of focusing on the characters, and they did the exact opposite of that. And
Yeah.
I honestly think that's the best way to world build is have your characters live in the world and have people who are watching the movie feel the world through those characters. Because when he went to to like the fast food store, I didn't question it for a second. I wasn't like, oh, this is a dumb McDonald's ripoff. I was like, yeah, no, this all makes sense. This feels like something that would happen. And the fact that they have like ancient monuments that are being desecrated or torn down to make space for a parking lot, completely a thing that isn't really expanded on all too much, and I'm completely fine with that because
Yeah.
I understand the whole moral situation there. I mean, we live in a country where the Confederate statue debate is still raging on, right? So
Yeah.
you don't need to go and
Mhm.
explain to me the societal issues with that. And I think they're very self-aware, like you said, of the viewer and what the viewer knows, and they make their viewer feel like they're smart because they're not going to pull the low-hanging fruit. They're going to have you think about the story and be surprised by it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot of movies kind of get carried away with trying to shove the society world messages in your face, almost like Zootopia a little bit
Joker.
started to, yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Sort of like I'm speaking in the Pixar realm, stuff like Zootopia started to teeter a little bit into that kind of,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it's all a big metaphor for like race and stuff. And it's like, yeah, like that's an important issue, but by this point we're all aware of that. Like we've heard that message
Mhm.
so much. I think it's nice that Onward like it respects the audience enough to know that we don't need that message shoved in our face. They can kind of leave that
Yeah.
implicitly. Um
Yes.
and
Speaking of
it focuses on the
audience,
characters. Go ahead, Haleigh.
oh yeah, I was gonna make a point. That speaking of audience, I feel like what made this movie different from a lot of other Pixar movies is that it focused more on like a teenage-based audience than like a little kid audience. Like I feel like it appealed more to
Mm.
our generation than it would to like a 10-year-old or like
Oh
11-year-old.
yeah,
Because
huh.
even you have the main character, like freaking out about his driving test, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can relate to that. But I feel like it was really based towards like our feelings, like to like where a lot of teenagers could be in their lives, and like the relationships you have with your siblings, and your challenges you faced in school, and like life. And I feel like it kind of
Yeah.
based around that a lot more
It,
than other
it's
traditional Pixar movies.
we finally got a proper Pixar coming of age story for the modern teen
Yes.
generation. I appreciate that.
Yes.
We love coming of age.
Yes.
Best trope ever.
It is
Best
nice.
genre.
That's a great point that you made because I mean, what's the last teenage coming of age movie that Pixar put out?
Or
Like,
Disney in general, honestly.
yeah, Disney in
Mhm.
general. It's always been either you're a little kid and you're dealing with something, or you're a young adult and you're dealing with something.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
I mean,
I feel like they try. What about Inside Out?
young kid going into
That's like
yeah.
that's like
middle school.
That's
preteen
middle
maybe.
school, huh?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
middle school? Dang.
I
Never
mean,
mind.
that's preteen
That's
ish.
still
Yeah,
preteen. Yeah.
tween.
I feel.
That's our tween movie. We're above that.
Movie.
Yeah, we're above that now.
S-
But like,
s-
even when I was a tween, I didn't really connect with that movie. Like with
Yeah.
Onward, I don't know what it was, but I just sort of naturally connected with it and really felt the brotherhood in between the characters. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know what emotional tricks they pulled. I mean, the guys at Pixar, that's their best thing. That's their trade secret. They're not going to reveal how they do it, but
yeah.
it's just they put so much care and effort, and every single shot in that film was like packed with detail.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yes.
Like, look in the backgrounds. They care about this world, man. Like, they put their hearts and souls into it. And maybe they overwork
Mhm.
their animators just a lot of it, really.
Yeah.
And
A little bit.
but one thing I wanted to bring up, and I want you guys to talk about because I've been blabbering on a whole bunch, is Dan Scanlon is the name of the director of this fantabulous movie. Who wants to guess what his earlier Pixar movie was? He's directed one other one. And then I want to talk about why we think he did so much better in Onward than this other one.
Is it a bad Pixar movie? Is it considered one of the less good ones?
Yes, it's considered one of the less good ones.
If it's good,
Interesting.
if it's good
Cars 2.
dinosaur, dude. If it's good dinosaur,
Not Good Dinosaur, no.
Not Cars 2.
Not Cars 2. Haleigh, what's your guess?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Recently,
I
like
mean,
a movie
Oh,
recently
true.
came
How
out.
old
fair-
would we
fairly
have been?
recently.
I have a guess.
mean,
I have a guess.
yeah?
Is it Wreck-It Ralph 2? Ralph Breaks the Internet?
No.
Okay.
That movie slapped, James.
I don't know. I heard a lot of
Uh,
people really didn't like it.
Dang.
I thought Ralph was a Disney and not Pixar.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it really?
Finding Dory?
Okay. No. Finding Dory was awesome. Screw you.
I'm just saying. just
Monsters
naming movies.
University. was
Oh,
Lying.
so
Which-
he's just all about the youth, man.
he's about
Yeah.
the youth, bro. Trying to connect, man.
Wow.
Well, I did see in some behind the scenes footage that Onward was heavily based on his own personal experience as a child dealing with his father who passed away. So maybe that's why this movie worked so much better, is because it was sort of coming from like directly from the heart, you know?
Did he also try to reanimate his father and only got halfway through? Because
Maybe.
that's
Gosh,
concerning.
maybe, man.
Frankly.
This, I was thinking, this is really just like Pixar's version of Full Metal Alchemist. Now that I think about it, Charlie.
Totally. Oh my god, you're so right.
By the way, that's my anime recommendation: Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on Netflix.
Brotherhood. Yeah, don't do the other one. Brotherhood.
Oh gosh, it slaps. I'd love to do an episode on that. Let me tell you. But
yes, I'll watch it. We'll
do it. But yeah, I wanted to talk about. I think probably the biggest draw of this movie is the climax and the twist, quote unquote, and the decision that ultimately winds up happening. Because I think what this movie also does really well is it doesn't go for Pixar and Disney movies have been falling into the trap recently, and a lot of people have pointed this out. The whole we have to make a twist villain, right, in every single Pixar movie or Disney movie, from Hans to the bunny lady or the sheep lady from Zootopia to the, there's always a twist villain. Like wasn't the
Right.
octopus in Finding Dory a twist villain at the end? Was
What?
he? No, am I imagining that?
I don't think there was.
Wasn't the
like-
octopus Bill Murray?
Lotso.
Oh, Lotso,
Oh,
Yeah, but
yeah.
Like
Lotso was
Lotso.
sort of crappy. the
Lotso
entire-
messed me up.
Stuff like
man.
that, where
For
there's always
real.
these random twists that are just kind of getting like shoehorned into every Pixar movie. It's like it's starting to wear thin, and people are starting to realize that. And Onward didn't have a twist villain, which was really nice. Instead, it went for a very, I think, kind of bold choice that you didn't really see coming, where it was like, so the whole goal of the movie is for these two brothers to find a way to bring their dad back in the full flesh, so that they can get a chance to see him. But due to circumstances and a big stone dragon, it looks like only one of the brothers is going to be able to see the dad, while the other one has to hold him off. And so Ian makes the final, the death and resurrection decision. He's like, you know what, Barley, you've met dad, you need to say goodbye, you go see him, I'll stay and fight the dragon. And that's just such a mature, like,
So good.
choice to
Yeah.
make. And it's like the epitome of gosh, it's just like the self-sacrifice and and all that. It was so beautiful. That was one of my favorite ways they could have possibly ended a movie to me.
And the fact that it happened and they didn't go back on it. 'Cause
Right.
Disney movies are starting to get to the point where every single twist they have, they go back on it.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, Anna dies. JK, she's alive. Elsa saved her,
Right. Yeah.
True hug
yeah.
thing. Oh, Kylo dies. No, he's alive. Oh, Chewbacca dies. Oh, no, he's alive. Oh, Rey dies. No, he's alive.
Yeah.
Sorry, just whew,
Yeah.
God.
No, I feel you, man. I feel you on that
Rise
one.
of Skywalker, man. But in this movie, they're like, oh, he's not going to see his father, and then nothing,
And then it
and then he
really
doesn't see his
Like,
father,
yep,
and it's
that's
like,
But
yes,
the beauty in that is that it doesn't invalidate it at all. It's like, yeah, he doesn't see his father, but that's like the right thing to do, and that's how
Exactly.
he grows. It's just
right.
so, and it's kind of a bizarre, like, it's such a crazy moral to think about, like the whole idea that it's more painful for, like, it's more painful to lose someone too soon, like Barley did, than like to never have known them at all, right? Because
That's crazy, yeah.
Ian never met his dad, while Barley did like meet his dad, but
Oh,
he was sort
yeah.
of torn away from him. And it's this emphasis, sort of like a weird play on the whole better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all kind of thing. It's like Ian only had the concept of his dad, right? Like he never had those actual attachments, but Barley did. And the fact that the movie recognizes and said like getting a proper goodbye is more important than getting a hello, which is such a crazy, profound
Ooh.
thing to think about.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not an option you see very much, because normally it's like that. I don't know. It kind of floored me as an ending. I just feel like it's an aspect you don't see played very often.
Yeah, Kasey, Haleigh, what'd you guys think about the ending?
I thought it
Yeah.
was.
Oh,
Go
No,
ahead.
Fight,
you can
fight.
go. You can go.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I thought it was pretty powerful. I don't know why I had the urge to cry in the movie theaters. But I
but
think just like, the like you were saying, James, the self-sacrifice and the fact that they stayed on it. Like he was trapped, like they trapped him in boulders and they had them peeking through the light and seeing,
yeah.
him talk to his dad. Like they really rested on it and they're like, we're not gonna just have this like fly by, like it's gonna sink it in. So I thought it was
Mhm.
great. I thought it was really great.
That's awesome. And then Kasey?
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of what James is saying about how profound it is to kind of just leave it and have him not see his dad and have that be okay, because the whole, like, having a coming of age story for me, I feel like it's very, like, rare to see one that has a lot of rough edges nowadays. And I feel like it, which isn't fair, because when you're coming of age, like, everything, it's rough all over. So I feel like it's good to have a movie that has like something this powerful and something this raw, and just be like, yeah, he didn't get to see his dad, but he got something better, that he got to recognize that he didn't need to have the one thing that he was chasing, because the thing that he wanted was always like next to him the entire time. And I know that was like a trope, you know, maybe like a few years ago, but it's rarely seen now, where you have like the, oh, I'm chasing something. Oh wait, it's been in front of my face this entire time. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's very interesting that we got to see that not only with a pair of brothers, because we usually find it in more um
Like
like maybe,
romances, I think.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
more like romances where it's like you're chasing whatever, like the developer, when really it was your best friend the
Yeah,
entire.
the girl next door trope
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. And so it breaks down a lot of like the established relationships, like how you can view a brotherly relationship, and how you view like a relationship with a brother that did raise his little brother, as we see in like that montage where he's teaching him how to ride the bike, he's teaching him how to not be afraid. And I just felt like that was a really, really good montage.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think it's a movie that isn't afraid to have like a real take on coming of age. Like you have to sacrifice a lot of stuff sometimes to be the bigger person and sort of grow into whatever, not to be a man or a woman or whatever, into your you've come of age. Like you have to sacrifice a lot, and this movie doesn't shy away from that. um and I think that's like one of the greatest morals or virtues you can teach in a movie is like the idea of someone in such a selfless act, right, of giving up what you want the most for someone else. It's such a traditional moral to me that will never get old. um but I think it's also interesting, now that I'm thinking about it, that the movie doesn't, the fact that Barley, what if we're saying that Ian took the moral high road by letting Barley see the dad, the movie doesn't chastise Barley for taking the low road, right? It
Mm.
No.
like Barley got to see his dad because that's what he needed, and the movie doesn't make you think that that's like a bad action. It doesn't make Barley seem like less of a man or anything. It's sort
Mhm.
of, while on one end it's validating self-sacrifice, it's validating just as much that it's important to get what you need emotionally and tie off loose ends. So I think it handles both of those things at once very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably even through Barley's actions, it's more importantly than validating self-sacrifice. It's invalidating selfish self-sacrifice, which is
Mm.
you're self-sacrificing for no reason and it doesn't bring a positive good to anyone. Like if Barley said, "No, I'm not going to see my father cuz you won't either." then it's like, well, there's no point in doing that. I mean,
Right.
like everything's said, like just go ahead, bro.
Like
So
hero syndrome, like the whole thing with
exactly.
what's it? The closest example I can kind of think of is, well, no, that's not a good example. I was gonna bring up the Hawkeye and Scarlet or Black Widow thing in Endgame, where it's like that
Oh,
super drawn out like wrestle match over who's gonna sacrifice themselves. That's sort of, I guess, the feeling I get. But
yeah, yeah, like unnecessary sacrifice. I think that in that example, the sacrifice was necessary and the right
yeah,
person was killed, but uh definitely it's just another example of the movie being super smart about not being obvious. Because the
mhm.
obvious thing to do and the way that, a first time writer would go at it is probably like, oh, and then they both go away from it because that means that, they've both matured and grown. And it's like, no, maturing doesn't have to do with denying yourself like emotional fulfillment. Like
Yeah.
Right. It
being
shows.
mature is acknowledging that to be a whole person, you need to indulge your emotions and you need to feed them like you would anything else. Like
Right.
your
Yeah.
soul is just as much a part of your body as your body is.
It does kind of both aspects of it well, and shows that, like, hey, these are both options that, like, these are both things that are just as, neither one is less noble than the other, right? They're both.
Exactly.
I think that's, man, Onward. Onward's really, really hitting it, but I hate to break it to us that we're running out of time here pretty quickly. So we're gonna have to wrap things up here. But
Okay, one thing. I just want to say one thing.
right.
Uh the character I feel the worst for in the entire movie is the dad because he legit can't hear anyone. He is stumbling around the entire film, black void of pain and torture, and I don't think they treated it like that. This man is blind and deaf, and his only sensation is stumbling into his son. Like it's painful to watch. It's I don't know that
No,
it was
I get you.
sad.
They could have taken a macabre route with that for sure. But yeah. Well, I guess without, with that note, this has been another episode of Socratic Cinema, brought to you virtually this time. It was. I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, let's hope the audio
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah, I hope so. Gosh, but yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys are all staying safe during this quarantine. We wish you the best of luck and have good times and watch lots of movies. Watch more of our podcast. Listen to more of us
Yeah.
on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and anywhere you find good podcasts. Like, comment, share, tell your friends. People are looking for stuff to listen to. You should spread the word about us. But yeah, with that, go watch Onward. Tell us what you think. And we've been Socratic Cinema.